Si manki tá um projeto de 5 anos, a ONU está mitad caminda. Dus volle proyecto dat toma lugar eigenlijk den tour 6 isla e Holanda. Anto esima aqui tour gente a reunir na Aruba pa WAC, onde não está de investigação com pasigi que ainda me está bem. Anto parte de aceita guia arriba e investigação agora assim. Anto pa esse nos invita 3 enkele investigadores internacional que trabalham riba terreno de estudo na Caribe. Anto nanta vai conversar também tiki com boso dias nanta vai também duna charla Diaranson noite para o público general de Aruba também por participar e conhecer mais do tópico. Nos tópico em geral também over de com cambio de clima tá afetar as 6 islas, não? Então aqui nos na Aruba nós trabalhamos com Harold Kelly de Museo Arqueologico e Gregory Richardson de IPA. Então, 3 investigadores internacionais também contam mais sobre o contexto político, histórico, então, o contexto mais internacional também de qual é 6 islas na mesa de Angela. Que menos que invitar o público de Aruba para passar Museo Arqueológico Nacional de Aruba, Diaranson, para 7 da noite, entrada completamente grátis.
I'm actually really grateful for the opportunity to be here. I've been to St. Martin, but it's the first time that I've had the opportunity to be in Aruba. And, part of the conversation here is going to be around sovereignty. I'm particularly interested in the kinds of things that we share across the Caribbean, regardless of whether we're politically independent or have some other kind of political arrangement. This happens to be the part of the world that has some of the most vulnerable coastlines and populations in relation to climate change. It's an area that comprises one of the largest groupings of small island developing states. And so I think that there are things that we share across the Caribbean. Also, being from Guyana, and increasingly some of my work is thinking about these questions of extractivism and climate change. The audience should know that around 2022, it was declared that about 11 billion barrels of oil had been discovered 120 miles offshore of Guyana's waters, with ExxonMobil as the principal company as part of the consortium to exploit that oil reserve. And so I'm really interested in hearing what Arubans have to say about that. This is a country that had one of the oldest oil refineries, migrations of people, including from my homeland, Guyana here, and thinking about what are some of the ramifications of these new developments in this particular context. There was a big oil spill off of the waters of Tobago earlier this year, and though that oil spill reached Bonaire and was headed for Aruba. So these are conversations that actually bring us all together, and I think it's really important that we sort of break this linguistic kind of isolation to think together as Caribbean people who are most at risk in this world from climate change.
My principal interests for the purposes of this meeting are quite a bit broader than what Dr. Trotz and Dr. Lewis had to say. I was once asked as a professor, what is the most impactful book you have ever read? And I thought to myself, there is no contest. It has to have been George Orwell's 1984, which was a study of social control and thought control in a capitalist society. And I think that one of the projects that Orwell had in that book was the way we use language to control people's thoughts. If I can control your language, I will be able to control what you are thinking about, what you are capable of thinking about. In this regard, I want to focus on the word democracy, the language of democracy, and begin with the United States and the ways in which that term has fallen into misuse. When people use the word today, I no longer understand what it means. Like, we are a free people. Well, the people in the United States aren't free. We are a democratic people, a fun-loving people. We are an equal people. Those things don't apply. So in this context, I want to extrapolate from that, using the United States and Donald Trump as my points of departure, to begin to talk about things that Alicia and Lyndon had mentioned: sovereignty, independence, control of our own destinies. We as a people came into existence politically as a result of the activities of the Dutch, the French, the Spanish, the English, and so on, colonial masters.
I'm here. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here, because it's not often that people of the English-speaking Caribbean and of the Dutch-speaking Caribbean get to congregate and exchange ideas and communicate with each other. So it's a very important opportunity for us to be here and to speak about some of the things that we do. I am talking on tomorrow and on Wednesday about the notion of sovereignty, which is a political position that most ex-colonies engage in imagining that they're moving into a status away from colonial dependency into an autonomous status. And I'm also talking about the late executive president of Guyana, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. I've just published a biography of Burnham, and I wanted to bring his work and his experience and his administration to life here, and especially for those people who would not have known anything about him.